Next we have Michael Miller.
Yeah, right. Michael Miller. Let me get on my slides here. Bing, bing, bing. This is what you have up there now. This is off the GIS server at the Manatee County Property Locator. And it shows the property as it is. And as he said, I've been part of the design team of Pine Avenue right from the beginning. I do most of the landscaping there. I've done all the landscaping around those buildings, and I've been actually for many years involved. I started like in 1990 as a volunteer at the City Hall in a beautification project and discovered native plants. And what I discovered on the way was a very interesting idea that I'm now promoting. In fact, I have a Perfect Environs Inc. that you'll see on these drawings is my new nonprofit corporation that organization that I incorporated in January 1st to promote some completely new idea called authentic sense of place. Because what we've discovered is that if you take the native plants that are native to a particular place and not native to a state or to a county or to a zip code, but to an actual place where you're planting them, when you're finished, what you'll have is it'll look like where you are. And when I was first learning this and developing these ideas for 17 years in Anna Maria, I'd have people come to me and they'd say, oh, well, maybe you do my landscape. And I'd say, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And they'd say, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make it look like Anna Maria. And they'd say, well, what does Anna Maria look like? I said, I don't know. We're going to be the first ones to do it. And that's pretty much what I've been doing now, is going out and promoting to people this authentic sense of place idea. And we have a new website, in fact, where you can go on to an interactive Google map and you can go down to your house and click on the map and it'll bring up that info box, and you click that and it'll give you the list of plants native to your house. Well, this project, when Craig, whom I've known for a couple of years, said, oh, you want to get involved with this? I said, boy, you betcha, because you know, we're finishing off Pine Avenue, and there's one thing about this idea. When he and we got together and we talked about it, I said, there's something really different about this idea, and said, this is the first time anybody could come and do Pine Avenue 1 better. Because this would be better than Pine Avenue, because Pine Avenue was strapped to a street. You can only recreate the natural visual identity of an island so far when you've got a thoroughfare running down it. But here we have the possibility of taking a park and scattering little cottages through it, like if you, you know, and taking Pine Avenue not as this straight run thing, but where no matter where you go or to which shop you go or to which residence you go, you're always in a park. That has never been done. So I'm going to show you now the plan. Like I said, like Craig said, this has been lickety-split. We've done this, and I threw this together. This is this same satellite view, but with a park. And let me emphasize, as they said before, we're not making specific proposals here. This is about a feeling. I want you to look at it now. Obviously, for me to do a plan like this, I had to put real stuff in there. So I had to think, well, gee, what do we want to do with the sidewalk? What do we want to do with this? So there are very specific ideas in here, but hey, throw them all away and do it all over. Focus on the feeling. This is the park, overlaid over that last one. And could we have the lights turned down a little bit, maybe, so we can see a little bit more, maybe? As dark as you can get it, because it'll be much richer. I also have this printed out here if anybody wants to see it later. And I also will have a PDF if anybody wants to get in touch with me. And they have my number. There you go. That's a little better. These things never project it like it really is. But here was the idea. As fast as I threw it together, I said, okay, what's the first thing I want to do? Well, that sidewalk up there ends at Broadway anyway. So why don't we just dump the sidewalk right into the middle of the park? What does that let us do? That lets us have a little bit better foliage out there along the street to hide the parking. So you've got a circular one-way, one-aisle drive all the way around with 3 different ingress-egress parts. And that means there's only one line of parking, one line of aisle, and that keeps you down with the sidewalk to about 45, 50 feet maximum that's going to be open area. That maximizes the size of your park in there, which runs the entire length of the area. And that little hedge out there, you don't want to see all those cars as you drive by. So let me just show you what, this is what Anna Maria looked like in 1989 when I started, and I planted these little bitty tiny plants down there all along here, so I didn't want to see that ugly parking lot anymore, and this is what it looks like today. So the whole idea is to get rid of as much of the visual infrastructure and replace it with visual toes in the sand, island-like feeling. when you're walking through this place, it should always look park-like, no matter what you do, no matter where you go. All of these are the different slides of landscapes I've done. They're all 100% native to the spot that they're in. This is Durante Park. I mean, if you just walk through Durante Park and envision, here's a little cottage, there's a little cottage, here's a little cottage, there's a residence up there. And what you do is that what we do in Pine Avenue too, is that all the businesses front right there where that car is. They get out of the car into the business. The backside faces into the park, which could either be a business or, in our case, the backside is all residents. So the residences, even though they're above each other and below each other, they never see each other virtually. That's more of Durante Park. That's what it would be like in there. Here's a little place where Durante Park comes down to a little bridge. Well, as they mentioned, we'd have the bridge that crosses the bayou and goes over there. It could be something like this. This is a little bridge I designed once where they looks like the frolicking manatees or your railings going across. And you walk across that and you're only one short block down to the art center. This draws any people coming into that park to the art center. I'm sure they'd be quite happy about that. There's also a mangrove section there where we can duplicate the mangrove walk, where people can walk that entire length of that street on the backside down to the bridge in the mangrove park. The cottages would be like this. This is the Island Players, it happens to be. This is the sand shell cleaning. This sand shell material is a miraculous material. And I've been using it for 20 years, and I've got the whole city of Anna Maria using it, and I recommend it highly to anybody who wants to get rid of hardscape. I call this firmscaping. And this is what we do. As you said, we're now running an experiment there where we've torn up city sidewalks and handicapped parking spots. And this little thing over on the side there, we have 5.5-inch high by 16-foot long aluminum strips that run along that are corrugated with little slits for spikes. And when we do is, and we go in there and we lay in shell sand, and compact it, and it can't be level. The handicapped should be allowed to have their toes in the sand too and not always be condemned to live on concrete. This is what we did when you can see how we did it. Took up the concrete, dug a channel, put those aluminum things in there. They filled it with this, first of all the shell, then with the sand, then compacted it. We even put, because the inspector insisted that we have blue lines in the sand, so we painted some bricks blue and set them in the sand just inside the aluminum. And it can't get out. It's all compacted in there. It's a marvelous situation. And one of the greatest things about this, by the way, is that Swift Mud requires all the businesses now to hold all of the water on the property and percolate it. You may not dump. We have city drains around our properties we may not dump water into. So all of our properties are shelved like this. Well, when Swift Mud came out and saw this 250 sand that I was using out there, and they said they're going to have regular inspections, and after the first inspection, they said, well, if this is what you've got, we don't ever have to come back again. This is perfect. This is what the sidewalks look after they're finished. We have little flowers on one side or grasses on them. We have sand going down there, and right there you come to a little thing. Now you notice what we have to do is we put the little barrier there because the whole idea is here that you don't have cars backing over somebody's sidewalk. And that was the big contention, the big argument. And it turned into be a wonderful thing for us, but it caused these straight, long sidewalks to be meandering now. And so we meander into the shops exactly where the shops want them and come back out. We even have to tell them walk this way because human beings want to walk down a street straight, so they just are not meander prone. And that's meandering into the shop. It's just absolutely perfect. And you'll see these grasses that we have on. The grasses are the same ones that grow on the bay. This little Spartina patens that you see out there. And you see there along the edge? Well, if you plant those grasses just outside that aluminum, they cannot grow in. So there's a zero maintenance on the grasses growing into the sidewalk. But as they go outward, they can meander into beds or anything. And if they get too far, you just mow them down and they come right back. And this is the plan again. See the bridge going across over there. You can see at the top. You can see the wood walkway over to the side. And I think that's about everything. I mean, if there's any questions from anybody? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have one other person who's asked to speak. Gene, do you still want to speak?
Yes. Hi, Gene Gillespie, 671